You're listening to episode 144 of the Christian Travelers Network. Today's topic is airports with worship services. Hi, my name is Sarah, and I have a background in theology and a love for travel. Having visited 9 different countries and served in 5 congregations, I wanted to create an environment that discusses and encourages the overlap of my 2 favorite things, the Lord and travel. And if you have a passion for these things, or wanting to learn how God is such an integral part of our daily adventures, then you've come to the right place. Today's topic is airports with worship services. Now, many of us fly frequently, whether it's to a destination to visit family or for work. But how many of you have ever stopped to wonder if airports offer worship services? It honestly had never occurred to me until I was in Chicago O'Hare and I heard announced over the speakers that there was a worship service going on in the chapel. And it's silly, but maybe when I saw the chapel signs up on, the signs that said this is your gate this way and here's another sign that says the chapel is this way, I think I assumed that it was more of a Muslim or other religious service, but I never stopped to consider, is there a Christian one? And when that announcement went off, I realized I had plenty of time. I could totally go to a chapel service. But as I followed the signs around, I ended up in this big room and just not feeling certain which way to go. In fact, I wasn't sure if I walked through certain gates if I would end up going back um, to baggage claim and having to go through security all over again. And I just wasn't willing to commit to that risk. So, in the end, even though I asked a couple people who work there as janitors, no one could point me to the chapel or confirm whether or not it was pre security or post security. And I didn't end up going. But this made this thought in my head spin around, and today we're going to answer that question of if there are a lot of airports that even offer some kind of worship service. Now, I decided to take a look at the top 15 busiest airports in the United States, and these stats come from FAA.gov. However, these are from 2020 pre pandemic, and our top 15 were Hartsfield Jackson, Atlanta, Dallas Fort Worth, Denver, O'Hare in Chicago, Los Angeles, Charlotte Douglas in North Carolina, Harry Reid in Las Vegas, Phoenix, Orlando, Seattle Tacoma, Miami, George Bush in Houston, John F. Kennedy in New York, Fort Lauderdale, and Newark Liberty. And I decided to look at the 15 of them to see if they offer worship services or not. And I want you to pause for a second. What do you think? Out of the top 15 busiest airports in the United States, do they all offer a worship service, chapel, or meditation room of any kind? The shocking answer is that 12 out of the 15 do, and possibly a 13th, but I was unable to find certain results on that airport. So the 2 that did not offer any form of worship service or meditation room was Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Now, Fort Lauderdale also makes that list, and that's only because I was able to find news articles about a meditation room that was founded in 1993 and added to their airport. However, when I looked on their map or on their website, I wasn't able to find any more information to confirm that it was even still there. I know renovations happens and things change a lot from 1990 to today. So I leave that one up as a mixed bag. And if you ever fly through Fort Lauderdale, I would love to know if it does. But the other 12 for sure did, and that made me really excited. So I started to ask some other questions. The first one being, because when I was in Chicago, I wasn't sure if it was pre or post security, and that affected how likely I was to use the service. So of those 12, 9 had something post security, and 4 offered pre security. That means that one of those actually offered a mixed bag of pre and post security options, which I thought was kind of different. Honestly, the pre-security to me is a little disheartening because I'm less likely to use that service. But I guess if you land and are going to baggage claim or are showing up early enough to attend a worship service or pray or whatever, it's always a good idea to check it out, meet the people there, and spend some time with the Lord. So the next question that I had was, what is the name of their worship service room? Because when looking on a map, depending on what airport it is, I found that they use a lot of different names. Some called it the interfaith room, some called it a prayer room, some called it a meditation room or a chapel, and others had unique names altogether that were specific to that airport or maybe even who founded it. So, we're going to walk through what the names of the different airports, chapels, or worship services were in a minute. But first, I want to answer another question, and that is, were these services strictly Christian, or was it different denominations, or was it different religions altogether? And what I found was that most of them, it was a multi-religion facility, although some were primarily Catholic or just Protestant in general. But overall, the mass majority were multi-religious. So they offered all kinds of prayer mats and things depending on the many religions that often find themselves worshiping there. This, to me, is a unique aspect that we could just go and worship in the same room as all these other religions. However, they did offer specific worship services that often were scheduled times for Catholics, Protestants, Islams, or other things. So let's take a little closer look at some of these airports. Atlanta has a interfaith chapel and it has services on Friday and Sunday, but due to COVID, those services have been impacted. The same could be said of Dallas Fort Worth, that they have services also that have been impacted. What is unique about Dallas Fort Worth, though, is that they have chapels in every single one of their 5 terminals. Some are pre security and some are post security, but I found that an amazing service that it's offered to all travelers throughout the whole building. Denver calls theirs a religious facility with Catholic Mass on Sundays and on holy days of obligation. O'Hare in Chicago offers a chapel with 23 different worship services throughout the week. Wednesdays, Sundays, Saturdays, and they range from Catholic to Protestant and Islamic. And I find that quite fascinating, and like I might eventually catch one of those worship services at some point. Charlotte Douglas in North Carolina has an interfaith chapel with worship services on Sundays, and Phoenix has a Compassion Corner, which I do believe also had some stuff for special needs individuals who can be easily overstimulated in an airport, which I thought was really cool. A quiet place for them to kind of relax pre boarding their flights. Orlando has an interfaith chapel that you can meet. However, if you're planning to attend a worship service, you need to go to the Hyatt Regency Airport Hotel. And they have their worship service on Sundays at 8:15 and noon in the lobby. That was a unique one in that it wasn't actually in the interfaith chapel. Seattle Tacoma has an interfaith prayer and meditation room, but they do not offer any form of worship service. Miami has an non denominational chapel room, and what is unique about their worship services, not only are they on Sundays and Wednesdays, but they're also in English or Spanish, rotating depending on the week. So I thought that that was a unique service that only they offered. Additionally, George Bush in Houston has an interfaith chapel, but they do not have any specific worship service times. And John F. Kennedy in New York has Our Lady in the Skies Chapel with Mass on Saturday and Sunday. So that is a very Catholic oriented one, but as you know, Catholics and all Christians can worship together. Again, Fort Lauderdale, if you know if they have a worship service or place, that would be amazing. But our last and certainly not the least is Newark Liberty. They have a meditation room, but no worship services. So those are the top 12 or 13 of the top 15 busiest airports in the United States that do offer some kind of worship service. And if you're flying out on your next trip, I would love to know if you attend a worship service in your airport. Or if you want to share some of that information with us, we'd really appreciate it and love to find out and help other travelers connect with airports and worship services all around the world. A list of all worship services, contact info, and other details will be on our new platform, which is coming in the next few months. We are excited to be creating a platform where Christian travelers can connect with one another, plan trips together, and build a community. We're so excited for you to be a part of that. If you want to head over to our website, ChristianTravelers.net, there you can find links to our social media and also join our email list so that you can be one of the first ones to have access to our website. We're really excited for that. But thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, safe travels and God bless.